If you drive a modern car, you're all too familiar with the infamous check engine light that illuminates on the dashboard. That generally means that something's not right. Something's been detected that's out of spec. And you dread going to the dealership or the car repair place because you never know what the mechanic is going to hoodwink you with and charge you to replace it you don't need. Well, you can scan that yourself and see exactly where the fault is before you head to the shop. And this is great for DIYers. Let's check it out. Got a new product to unbox and show you guys. This is a Kingbolen Model S professional diagnostic tool. This is for reading the diagnostic trouble codes stored in your car's engine control system. Just so happens that my son's car has a check engine light, so we'll be able to read and see what it is. We're going to open this together, and I'll go through some of the features of this, and then we'll take it out and plug it in the car and see what codes it reads. So unbox the unit, take a look at what's in the box. I'm sure I'll probably have to charge it up before I can use it, so we'll get that taken care of. There's the unit. It's a nice size tablet size device, complete with the destruction manual and of course a charging cable, which will charge this up first, and the diagnostic cable, which connects between the scanner and the OBD 2-port found on every car made since, I think it was 1986, but 1987 on, I believe. I remember I had a 1986 car that had an OBD1. OBD2 started in 1996. So that just plugs on like that. And we turn it on, and we'll see what state of charge the battery's in, but I'm sure I'm going to have to charge this up. And these units themselves are usually pretty self-explanatory on just what you need to do to read the diagnostic codes. So it's compatible with the KWP2000, ISO 9141, the J1850 VPW, and the J1850 PWM, and the CAN bus controller area network CAN bus controller. And it's designed to monitor your emission control systems and system components and so forth by providing continuous or periodic testing. So we should be able to run this with the car running and actually look at some of the codes and see what's going on in real time. And it's going to obviously give you the code, right? So basically your codes that it reads, there's several different codes. Powertrain is usually the one that you're going to get. So it'll be a P code. And then you get your type of code and your manufacturer specific codes and identifying specific malfunctions. And basically to do this, what you do is you plug it in, you turn your ignition off, you plug it in and then turn the ignition on, and you hold the power button for 5 seconds and it will start initializing and enter the following interface. So you just turn it on and it's going to read immediately. So let's just set the language. It's got a touch screen on here too. And we'll set our, it's looking for my router and so forth, so it can be connected by Wi-Fi. I can do that. There's probably some updates I'm going to need. Oh, the battery's at 100%, so I won't need to charge it. So let me just connect this to my router. So once it connects, it says supported systems and software. It says System 4. It'll check all this. Once you're booted up, let's go to the settings and just take a look at what we can change on the settings. See if there's any updates. You can measure either an imperial measurement or metric. Look for any updates. And there is a new version, so we're going to download the new version right now. Looks like the updates are for new European OBFCM software. They've added Swedish language, added email input function, so I guess it can send the report to email, and added support for fault code format switching. But I'm liking it already. It feels like it's a tough tool, and you can put there's where you plug in your charger, USB charger down here. It also has a place for a SD card, a micro SD card, so that the test results can be saved. We'll just let it do the update, and then I'm going to take it out and plug it in the car. and see what we read. APK installation may take a long time. Please wait patiently. On the side, there's a small hole for resetting. If something isn't right, you can do a factory reset by putting something like a pin or a paper clip in there and pressing the recess switch. And that will do that. Okay, let's take this out and read some codes. Gonna power it off for now. Okay, so I'm in my son's car. We're gonna turn it on and verify that there is a diagnostic check code, which there is. The check engine light is on. So we know there's at least a code stored. Let's plug the unit into the CAN bus reader, the OBD 2 port. This is a CAN bus, this car. Okay, I've got the cable plugged in. I know it's hard to see down there, it's dark, but it's plugged in. And as soon as I plugged it in, the reader powered itself up. The reader is booted up. We're going to go into onboard diagnostics. It's going to read the serial number of the car. And now we're waiting for OBD2 ISO CAN bus protocol. You guys can read that with the reflections and so forth here in the old Buick with 285,000 kilometers on this one. As you can see off the, I don't know if you can read it or not, it's pretty dim. The lights are on now because it's getting dark, but we got 285,930 kilometers on this car. And we've got the VIN number of the vehicle. And ignition is spark. Yes, of course, we know that. Let's, I guess, press enter. We'll look at what the codes are. Read code. And here's our code. So it's read a P0128, and it says coolant temperature. Coolant temperature is below the thermostat regulating temperature, and that is the fault on this car. The thermostat is opening up a little prematurely, and the temperature of the engine is not getting up to full range. Now, other things such as a bad gas cap will also cause a fault code. This is the current code. Its thermostat is a little bit off. And if we go back to, I think down to report, maybe not. That's not what I want. Let's get out of this. If I go home, oh, there we go. Here's our diagnostic report. So it's got the VIN number of the vehicle. This is what would be printed if you were to print a report out. You can actually export it as a PDF. So if I clicked export PDF, if I had an SD card in here, it would export it as a PDF file, and then I could print this and give it to the customer. And if I click on there, will it tell me? Oh, there we go. Here's what it's telling me. It says the diagnostic code is P0128 coolant thermostat. Coolant temperature below thermostat regulating temperature. And there's no live data because the vehicle is not running. But if I go back, if I start the car up, I should be able to read some live codes. I go back, I read live data. And then I can select all and click OK. And this is going to give me my throttle position, my absolute throttle position. If I rev it up, this will change. Accelerator pedal position, if I rev it up. Airflow rate from mass airflow sensor, so it's going to show me all the data. Ambient air temperature, barometric pressure, all of this stuff is going to show up, which can aid in the diagnostic of the vehicle. Catalyst temperature, for example, is 545 degrees Celsius. evap system vapor pressure. So this is the gas cap that's causing that. It hasn't thrown the code yet, but it will, because I put the old gas cap back on that's leaking, but it hasn't pulled a code for it yet, but that will. As you can see, it's showing that there's a problem with the evap vapor pressure, and that's why it's showing up in red. If I put the new gas cap on, that will, or should go back to blue. It's going to give me all the readings from everything. And see, number of warm-ups since DTC cleared. Well, I just cleared them this morning before this arrived, so I had to actually take the car out again and start it up and run it until it warmed up to get the code back, which I already knew what it was, and that's why I reset it before this arrived in the mail, or by courier, I should say. It didn't arrive in the mail because the post office is on strike. Now, if I want to go and clear that code that was stored, if I go back, go home, and I go back to this, I should be able to delete the code. I'll go down here to clear fault codes. Do I want to clear the fault codes? Yes. So now I've cleared out the codes. You can also go into diagnostics, and in this case you would put in the type of car you've got, whether it's an American, European, or Asian car. I'll pick American car. Okay, and Buick, Chrysler, Cadillac, Chevrolet, Dodge, Ford, etc. This one's a Buick. Let's like automatically search. So it says turn the ignition on, but don't start the car. Tells me what it is. It's a 2005 Buick Allure, which is what it is. Yes. It's got an air pump. I believe this one has an air pump. So now it's going to scan all the modules. We'll scan the powertrain and read the fault code. Now obviously I just cleared the code. There should be no codes stored, which there isn't. As you can see, the fault code is now gone. Let's go back and I'll leave this plugged in while I'm driving, and we'll take a look at some of the live data that can come up on here. So let me just go back to home, and we'll return to home, and we're going to go back here, and we can go to where's maintenance for? I think that's just for this. Okay, that's for checking other stuff in here. We're going to go to read live data. This way, when I'm driving, we'll start the car up. We'll do all the values, and we'll load them all. Now, if I go put that new gas cap on, this probably will go green. But I'm just going to drive it home and see whether we pull another code. So while I'm driving, I've just brought up, for example, ignition timing. So I can do a live monitor as I'm driving, as the system is advancing and retarding the ignition timing. I can't see obviously what I'm shooting here while I'm driving. I'm just kind of pointing the camera at the screen and hope it's framed up, as I'm not really looking at what I'm doing. But this should be plotting a graph when I accelerate and the timing advances. look at is the fuel air mixture graph. Here's the evap system vapor pressure. Again, the bad gas cap's on, so we'll just take a shot of this, and then I'm going to put a new gas cap on and we'll see how the results change. Engine RPM graph. So for example, you can plot out your shifts and everything. If you're checking your transmission for your shift points, it will plot a graph as to when the transmission shifts, what your minimum and maximum RPM ranges are, etc., as you are driving along. But as you can see, my engine coolant is 86 degrees Celsius. Engine's idling at 791 RPM. And if we look at the engine coolant temperature, look at the graph here, it should be pretty standard. But I guess that's a little bit cool for the thermostat. The car ECU is expecting it to be a little hotter than that. This time I'm plugging it into my first generation Chevy Volt, and we'll read the there's no fault codes on this one, but we're going to read them anyway and see what pops up. But there is no codes stored on this vehicle. Okay, I don't expect to see any fault codes stored on the Volt because there is nothing here. There's no check engine. Charge port door unlock control circuit performance. Maybe that's because it sticks. That's why it's stored that code. It sticks. You gotta pop it open with your finger. Charge port A unlock. It even goes online because it's connected to my network at home. If you're out in the field, you can connect it to your phone using a hotspot, and it goes online. It Googled what that code was, and telling me that code is charge port A unlock control circuit performance has been detected, because when you unlock it, it sticks and you got to pull it open by hand, and the car is detecting that because there's a little switch that is detected once the door opens. And that's the only code that's been stored, and that's it. There's no codes here. I don't know what I can read on this. I know with my green Volt I can read the battery cell voltages and stuff. I don't expect that this is going to do that, but you never know here. If I put it on live, I'll turn it on. And we'll see whether it will. That's just one DTC, and that was that would have been the one for the charge door. Let's read live data do on this. Probably nothing. Chevy, will it come up with Volt? Will it read it as a Chevy Volt? It's 2012. Let's just see. Oh, the Volt is shown. Okay. Health report. Let's read the health report. Wow. It's reading all the computers. So it says hybrid power control module. There's a message on here. Okay, yeah. So that's the same thing that came up before. That's the charge port door unlock control performance. Passed and failed. Sometimes it sticks. This ignition cycle not run. Last test cycle not run. And that's that. So that's all. That's the only code that was stored there. Back up here. Back up. So it's interesting information in the engine control module. Let's just go to that one. See whether it detected anything. There's no check engine light on here, so I don't expect that there's going to be anything to display. All right, so that's nothing to report on this one. I'm going to take it and maybe plug it into my second gen, even though I know it doesn't have any codes either. Everything's good here. You see nothing showing up on the dash. Inflatable restraint sensing and diagnostic module. Let's just see what that says. Right rear side impact sensor internal malfunction. Left front side impact sensor internal malfunction. That's for the airbags. It says that's not current. I wonder if we can just reset this one and see if it'll rerun the code. So we'll clear the fault code on here. And that other one here that was showing up for the charge door, we can clear that one. Clear that fault code. And we'll do this one as well. So we'll clear all the fault codes out. Now, nothing should be showing up here. All the modules should be passing, and they are, because I've cleared out any codes that were here. The only code that we had stored was the one that was for the charge door that sticks. Because what happens when you press the button to open it, there's a switch in there that detects whether it's open or closed, and it'll open the solenoid to open that door, but if the door doesn't open, it'll then close that solenoid again. So basically you have to pull it open. You have to hit the button, have your fingernail on there to give it a pull, because it gets stuck. What happens is, it was a bad design. Dirt gets in around the in the latch, and once some dirt builds up in there, it won't open, and you gotta get in there with a Q-tip and clean it out, or open it manually. And that's what I've been doing, is just pop it open manually. And but it did store a code for that, because the car is smart. The last time I had a code stored was for the fuel switch, the fuel door switch, to tell the system that the door is closed. That also stored a code, but that one actually turned on a check engine light when that one came on. Anyway, all my codes are cleared on here. We'll go to the other car and read it. It shouldn't show any codes, but we'll do it anyway. And this is what I mean. If I press the button to unlock or to open the hatch, it doesn't open. See, and I've just reset that code, because I got to do that because this gets dirty. I've now plugged it into my 2019 Volt. There should not be any codes stored on this one. There's no fault codes. Of course there's no fault codes, but I just wanted to show what happens when there is no fault codes. I can say yes. And what can I read on here? I should be able to actually log into Diagnostics, and we'll tell it it's a Chevy. This is 2019 Volt. Health report. Scanning all the modules, and well, there's no faults stored. This one's got nothing, so everything is good. Everything's cool on this car. Zero problem. System scan. What does this do? It should scan everything. Yeah, it's got the engine control module, the hybrid EV powertrain control module 1, powertrain control 2, drive motor control module 2, brake control module, brake booster control module, inflatable restraint sensing and diagnostic module. That's for the airbags. But everything's checking out. And system selection, don't know what this does. Okay. Hybrid powertrain control module, so you can actually go in and should be able to see if there's anything on here, which there's nothing. Read fault codes, there's none. So there's nothing to show because there's no code stored. So there's nothing on this one. But anyway, I just wanted to give you guys a quick rundown of this unit. It's gone on probably far too long. I don't know how easy this is going to come apart. It probably isn't. So I think I'm going to just leave it at that. I thought maybe if these screws would just pull out and I could just pop it apart, but this unit's all in a rubberized case. It's designed to be banged around in a automotive service type environment. It's got a nice rubberized plastic, like well, it's more of a rubber case that's got. So I think I'm going to just leave it at that. I'm going to throw the screws back in and put this back together. And I'll say thanks for watching. I'll throw a link in the description. Again, this is something that anybody that likes to tinker with your car, if you've got a modern car that's full of computers, this is what you need. And the fact that it's even looking at my late model plug-in hybrid Volts and able to read the codes from that was pretty interesting, that it read the stored code for the fact that the charge door is sticking. I never thought I would see that, but it did. It stored it. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'll throw a link in the description. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.